That's the applicant for one of the land developments. See if they will speak or not. I'd like to call to order the Doylestown Borough Council meeting for Monday, January 27th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think we have a special presentation tonight, Madam Mayor. It's a certificate of appreciation to Dave Seckler.
So we have a certificate of appreciation for Dave Seckler this evening. On December 29th, there was a fire at Font Hill Apartments. And when Scott Fleischer, our fire marshal, took us to the site, myself and our 3 members of Borough Council from the 2nd Ward, we learned that Dave was very instrumental in diminishing the amount of damage that there could have been from the fire. So I thought that it would be good. So Dave, do you want to come up?
Sure.
And Scott is just going to.
So just after, or just before 3 a.m. that Sunday morning, fire alarm went off at Font Hill Apartments. There was a fire across the hall from Dave's apartment. Dave went out, grabbed a fire extinguisher, went right into the apartment that was having the fire, crawled through the smoke, went to the kitchen. There was a kitchen fire, and attempted to extinguish the fire until the police and fire company could come and completely extinguish the fire. So he went above and beyond and was a tremendous neighbor and went out and helped his neighbor. So we congratulate Dave. And
So David, the borough and your neighbors deeply thank you for your quick response to help control and extinguish the fire in your neighbor's kitchen at Font Hill Apartments, Building 1 at 3 a.m. on December 29th, 2024. Your efforts, along with the police and fire company, helped save the building from more severe damage and protected your neighbors' lives. You are one of our local heroes.
thank you.
And I think we'll pose for a photo op. Sure,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Next item on our agenda tonight is the approval of minutes from our December 16th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Mayor, do you have a report for us tonight?
I do have a report this evening. 2025 was off to a busy start. It was no quiet January for this borough. It started on New Year's Day with a wedding in Borough Hall where 20 people attended in person and 15 people in Iran attended by Zoom. Days later, PennDOT gave a 4-hour training on pedestrian safety for council staff and emergency personnel. Our comprehensive plan is in final draft and on tap for public presentation. We swore in our 3rd K-9 police officer, Granite. The Bucks County NAACP held their board appointments for the first time in Borough Hall. Council chambers was a capacity and alive with gospel music. Public Works and our water department have been addressing record freezing temperatures and snow. Borough discovered Doylestown, the Memorial Day Committee, and Rotary organize the events we all look forward to. And here we go. The spring scenic strolls start on March 19th, and Sundog Yoga is returning in May. Broad Common Easter egg hunt is April 12th. The Easter Bunny arrives on April 19th. The Book Fest is May 2 through 4. The 5K is May 24th. Memorial Day Parade is May 26th. Pride Fest is June 14 to 28. Doylestown at Dusk is July 29. The Arts Festival is September 6 through 7. Discover Doylestown already has sponsors, and applications indicate this could be a record-breaking year. Spectaculars in the works. The 111th tree lighting is November 28th. And then, of course, there are cultural institution and local events, and there is more to come from Broad Common. On personal notes, Tom Brunt, our tech guru for council meetings, is not here this evening because he is at the Sundance Film Festival. He's been secretive about his reason for being there, but recent posts indicate that it has to do with his involvement in the film project Bucks County, USA. And I'm sure we'll be learning more about it. In the beginning of the year, we recognized 2 borough staff members for their 10 years of service. Chris Marone from Public Works and Rodney Keys from Parking. They are not here tonight, but we thank them. And last but not least, at the end of 2024, our borough manager, John Davis, marked 35 years of service to the borough. John is our rock. I can say from experience that when I talk with other communities, I am thankful for John and his staff. As mayor and former council person, I can say we are so much more involved in our community because of the way the borough functions. And with all that said, 2025 looks to be another action-packed year, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Public Safety, Mr. Frederick, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yes, Mr. President, I'm going to pass this over to Larry Brown, who will read his emergency preparedness. Larry?
This is the authorization to advertise the ordinance establishing an emergency preparedness and communications board. Attached, please find the above referenced ordinance establishing a 5-member volunteer board to advise council on matters of emergency preparedness and communications. The Public Safety Committee is recommending that council authorize the advertisement of the ordinance. If council wishes to follow the recommendation, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The last thing I have, Mr. President, is the Doylestown Fire Company report, which everyone has in their packet. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Frederick. Public Works and Administration, Mr. Brown.
Public Works did not meet this past month. However, the Public Works team continues to do their excellence in firefight and snow fighting and other, yeah, I get things on my mind. Snow fighting and other normal things. I don't know if Mr. Davis has anything else to follow up on Public Works.
No, nothing really to add. I know that we're fighting a number of water main breaks. It was inevitable as soon as we had the thaw, so it's been a tough couple of days.
And that's it for Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Community and Government Affairs, Mr. Bell, what do you have for us? Anything?
We did not meet, so we have no action for council, but I do want to mention that this Thursday at CB West at 7 p.m. is a very important town hall meeting that the Central Bucks School Board is hosting. And normally the borough and the school district kind of stay out of each other's tents, but the borough does get involved when there are matters before the school board that we feel directly impact the welfare of the residents. And this is exactly that sort of issue. As many of you know, the school board is looking at 8 elementary schools for potential closure of some of them. And 2 in particular that are in the borough are potentially subject to closure. So when borough staff studied the issue and council looked at it, we determined, we were kind of all in on like, no, this is a really bad thing for quality of life in the borough. So I don't want to be on my soapbox, but I would hope that all of you bring your soapbox to CB West at 7 o'clock on this Thursday, January 30th. And you may go to the cbsd.org website and submit questions in advance. And the school board has published that they may also accept questions during the event. But to be safe, I would post them ahead of time. But just you being there is very, very important. So that is my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Ms. Jarrett, zoning and planning.
The Committee of Zoning and Planning, of course, met this month. We have we have an application for minor subdivision. It is SDLD 2024-01. It's for a lot line change, so Lisa Meehan and Gray Warner, owners of the subject parcels, are proposing to adjust the location of the property line back between the two parcels. Both properties are residential with 80 Holbeins Alley, containing a house, deck, and parking area, and 102 Decatur, containing a house and barn structure. Vehicle access to 80 Holbeins is taken from Holbeins Alley, while vehicular access to 102 Decatur is from a private alley off of Decatur Street. The proposal would decrease the size of 102 Decatur and reallocate this portion of land to 80 Holbeins, allowing for a backyard, garage, and access to the private alley on this property. The Zoning and Planning Committee reviewed the application on January 13th, 2025 at our meeting and recommended approval of the application conditional on the following. 1, the applicant resolve all outstanding issues in the borough engineers and borough water engineers review letters to the satisfaction of staff. 2, that the applicant provide a surveyor's certification for placement of a boundary monumentation. 3, that the project comply with all applicable building and environmental regulations, including local, state, and federal. If council is in agreement with the committee's recommendation, it may grant minor subdivision approved by carrying a motion to do so, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, do we have any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Jack,
Aye.
wait a minute. We have someone signed up to comment on this issue from Lisa Meehan?
Oh, sorry, no, we signed in, sorry, no comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I apologize. Are the representatives here of the applicants?
They're the applicant.
You are the applicants? You agree to the conditions as listed? Thank you.
Okay. With that, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Additionally, we have another land development. Is it all right if I just go ahead with this, Ms. Highland, or did you want to?
It is.
Great. This one is 2024-6, the application for another land development waiver with Arcadia and Doylestown 3. It's tax map parcel 08005-001, 280 North Broad Street. Arcadia at Doylestown 3 is proposing the construction of a 60-unit multifamily residential building as well as 18 townhomes on the tax parcel map 09009-046, a landlocked parcel located in Doylestown Township. As part of the proposal, a driveway is to be constructed on tax map parcel, 08005-001. The parcel within Doylestown Borough and connecting the residential development to North Broad Street. Arcadia has agreed to convey this parcel to the borough and install the parking, walkways, landscaping, and fencing for a public dog park. The borough entered into an agreement with Arcadia deferring land development review to Doylestown Township and agreeing to a waiver of land development for improvements on tax map parcel 08005-001. The Zoning and Planning Committee reviewed the application on November 11th, 2024 and January 13th, 2025, and recommended approval of the application conditional on the following. 1, that the applicant resolve all outstanding issues in the Borough Engineers Shade Tree Commissions and Public Works Directors review letters to the satisfaction of staff. That the applicant install a center turn lane in Broad Street. that the applicant explore signage and pavement markings to encourage motorists to leave a courtesy gap for vehicles turning left into the site, that the applicant work with staff to further develop the dog park design and assure that the necessary infrastructure is placed appropriately, including but not limited to adding an additional gate for maintenance access, coordination with the Director of Public Works for the appropriate seed mixture, installation of a welded wire steel fence such as Wireworks Plus by Ameristar Asa Abloy, sorry, caught a little off guard by that one. That lighting installed for the pedestrian safety along the walkway comply with the lighting requirements of the subdivision and land development ordinance. That the applicant post financial security to be held by the borough for a period of 12 months following the dwellings being at least 75% occupied to ensure that the turning maneuver condition is appropriate for the driveway. The security should be in the amount adequate to install a curbed median. That the applicant and borough enter into an agreement to address access, utilities, and maintenance in a form satisfactory to the borough solicitor. That all provisions on the January 24th, 2024 agreement between the borough and Arcadia be met. That the applicant enter into the typical land development waiver agreement in a form satisfactory to the borough solicitor. If council is in agreement with the committee's recommendation, it may grant the land development waiver approved by carrying a motion to do so, and I so move.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council?
I'd just like to comment to remind the public that the borough had no say or jurisdiction over the Doylestown Township piece of this project, and so we had ultimately no vote on whether or not there would be a development in Doylestown Township. Our jurisdiction was limited to the small parcel that provided access to Broad Street. I just want to commend the planning staff for making the best of a bad situation and turning that into a nice amenity for the public and getting the best ingress and egress we could get to the development. But it's important to recognize that our role and jurisdiction in this was very, very small and very limited.
Any other, excuse me, any other questions or comments from council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next up, we have the zoning hearing board report, which I will have Ms. Highland run through for us.
Thank you, Ms. Jarrett. The zoning hearing board met last Thursday, where they heard one application. It was for Zachary and Laura Lau. They were proposing on their residential property a second story to their existing detached garage and a second story connection between the house and garage. That application required relief for floor area ratio and building or lot coverage and was approved by the zoning hearing board.
Thank you very much, Ms. Highland. And we won't take any offense that we clearly aren't the exciting part of the meeting. Next, we have the Certificate of Appropriateness with HARB recommendations. At its monthly meeting, the Borough of Doylestown's Historic and Architectural Review Board, HARB, recommended the following. They didn't have any signed applications, but they did have a couple of building applications. One was for 115 Cottage Street for windows. The HARB recommended that the application for a certificate of appropriateness be approved as submitted with the following conditions. The previously approved windows will be corrected to the 2/2 Muntin configuration, and the remaining side elevation windows will be 2/2. And the rear elevation windows will be 1/1. Next is 18 West State Street for windows and exterior renovations. The HARB recommended that the application for a certificate of appropriateness be approved as submitted with the following conditions. The proposed sliding door will have a Muntin configuration to match the bifold door Muntin, and a column at the back end of the porch roof was added. Next, we have 197 Washington Street for roof and windows. The HARB recommended that the application for a certificate of appropriateness be approved as submitted. 155 North Main Street, a barn roof and siding. The HARB recommended that the application for a certificate of appropriateness be bifurcated and that the applicant return with the additional information for the barn siding after further research and consultation with the staff. The HARB approved the certificate of appropriateness for the ABC metal narrow pan standing seam roof in charcoal gray. The Zoning and Planning Committee recommends that the council approve the applications as recommended by HARB with the following added condition. For the 18 West State Street application, that the applicant consider installing a wood-framed nanowall with aluminum-clad exterior. If council is in agreement, it can follow the committee's recommendation by a motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none, any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. President, I have to abstain.
Okay. Motion carries.
And finally, the building inspection report and code enforcement reports are in the packet. Thanks very much. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Jarrett. Environment and Rec, Ms. Wykoff, do you have anything tonight?
I do not, Mr. President. We did not meet this month, so I have nothing to
Thank
report.
you. Finance and Pension, Ms. Popkin, what do you have for us?
Oh, did we have water?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong line. Mr. Lavrone, Water Utility.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's,
I got to adjust my glasses so I can get on my
that's all right.
nose.
Or clean them or something. But anyways, yes, we did meet, the Water Utility Committee did meet on Tuesday, January 14th. And I will tell you more about that after I relay some really good news. At our December 16th council meeting, I reported that Penvest, which is a state agency that funds various environmental projects, had accepted our borough's application for funding that we requested to help us solve the problem of PFAS contamination in all of our wells. And on last Wednesday, the 22nd, Mr. Davis sent council and staff an email saying that our application requesting $6 million in funding had been approved. So that is huge. It contains a loan of $1,043,503 and a non-repayment loan of $4,956,497. And just a little bit of an explanation on that. It was clarified by Mr. Davis to us. The non-repayment loan, as it's called, is essentially a grant. So we will only be paying interest on the $1,043,503. Is that correct, Mr. Davis?
That's correct. And just to clarify, the $1.1 million loan, first 5-year interest rate is just a little over 1%. And the additional following 15 years are a little over 2%. So tremendous value there.
Right. So I'd like to thank everybody that was involved with that, particularly staff that got the application in. Also our water engineers at CKS Engineering, who does our water engineering work.
We have 6 months from now to get these projects underway, and we expect to do so.
Right. Thank you. Anything else on that, John? For now? Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, and then as far as what we learned at our January 14th Water Committee meeting, our Chief Operator, Jerry Matoso, gave us a 2024 summary or highlights of what the Water Department achieved in 2024, and then told us what to expect in 2025. I'm not going to read everything, but 3 highlights from 2024. Fortunately, we added 2 additional staff to the Water Department, and they have been a welcome addition to help Jeremy and the others get the work done there. The Maplewood Tank restoration project was completed, which was huge, and we completed an initial lead and copper inventory, which is meeting the requirements for that work, required by the federal and state governments. And for 2025, a few things to expect. We're going to continue the completion of our hydrologic modeling project that CKS Engineers is doing. They gave us a report on the computer-aided technology that they're using in that process at our January meeting, and we'll be hearing more from them about the actual plan in a subsequent meeting this year. In addition to getting the Penvest loan and grant, the PFAS project is moving along, and we again thank the engineers and staff for being on top of that and getting us essentially first in line for these grants and loans with Penvest and DEP. We're going to continue to identify service lines throughout the borough that still contain lead or made of lead, and those will be part of a replacement program, again, to meet federal and state requirements on lead. And then finally, we anticipate taking on the restoration of the Spruce Street water tank before the end of the year 2025. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Lavrone. And now, Ms. Bobkin, it's your turn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 items for Finance and Pension Committee, and we did meet. The first item is the consideration of Resolution 2025-1. This is for adjusting the compensation for the tax collector of Doylestown Borough. And we have Michelle Crunkleton here tonight, our tax collector. And in your packet attached, you will find the above referenced resolution relating to the adjustment of the Doylestown Borough tax collector, beginning with the first month of the 2026 term of her office. The proposed salary is set at $21,800 per year. And just a note, the last increase was in 2009. The Finance and Pension Committee reviewed the information at their January 9th, 2025 meeting, and we are recommending the Borough Council adopt Resolution 2025-1. If Council agrees with this recommendation, it may do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council?
Yeah, one question, Mr. President.
Yes.
This resolution also ties future raises to the collective bargaining agreement. My question is whether any other aspects of the tax collector's position will also be tied to the collective bargaining.
No.
No. I'm sorry. Any other questions? Did that give you a sufficient answer?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Sure. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is the finance report for our monthly bills, and that is in your packet. The total amount is, where do I have this? $1,312,115.90, and I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's the end of my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. I do not have a personnel report tonight. Professionals reports. Mr. Doherty, do you have anything?
Thank you. I have nothing tonight.
Bucky, do you have anything for us?
Thank you, no report either.
Okay. Chief?
Thank you. No report tonight.
Okay. I do not have a president's report. Do we have any items of old business?
Just one quick observation about the Emergency Preparedness and Communications Board. Governance is a team sport, so this touched several people, but I want to acknowledge my colleague, Councilman Larry Brown, who's really been at the heart of this issue and really helped get it over the finish line. I'm looking forward to supporting it next month.
Thank you. I'll take that as just a way to plug the preparedness seminar we're having on Thursday night for businesses, specifically for creating disaster plans for businesses. That's 6:30 Thursday right here. Scott and I will be here to talk about it, and we've got some incredible backing from Pima recently that will help us with these going forward.
Okay, moving on, items of new business. There is one item that we need to address tonight. It's an authorization to accept council member resignation and advertise the vacancy as a result of that. Attached, please find the resignation of Councilmember Joe Frederick, effective January 30th, 2025. If council wishes to accept the resignation, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a second. Do we have any questions or comments from any members of council?
Is there still the 2-minute time limit?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Council does not have a time limit.
This isn't a roast, but I've been sitting next to Joe for a while, and I just want to acknowledge and thank Joe, who's been a mentor. I mean, other than like socially, has been a real mentor to me. So, thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, both. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll miss you, Joe.
Thank you. I have a couple things to say. Is everybody done?
Buckle up. We have to call the vote.
You want me to hold off?
They have to accept it first.
We can't let you go without an accepting your resignation. Then you're free to let loose.
I'll take you down with me.
It's too late for that, Joe. Do we have any other comments, questions from members of council? Any questions or comments from any members of the public? I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Well, obviously, at this point, everybody knows I'm stepping down from representing Ward 3. I've been there for almost 8 years. It's been an honor to serve the borough and work alongside all you folks, some prior folks that are not here. But I've had a great time, been exciting. And we worked together on a lot of issues. This place right here was one of the defining moments we've had in a long time, moving into this building. Also, the park that we have next door to us was just an open lot and a PennDOT lot. I know when Phil was here, him and his group from Public Works did a yeoman's job out there cleaning that place up, moving soil. I think they even bought a loader and did the work with that and sold the loader and actually made a profit. So it was, I think I can honestly say they probably saved close to $1 million for the taxpayers and residents of Doylestown. And along with that, we have a state-of-the-art police complex and police force, which is entrusted to Chief Knott, who's done a yeoman's job keeping things with the 3 boroughs together. And I can say that because I'm an alternate on the police commission, and I get to see a lot of things that most of you guys don't get to see. And the chief has really had some tough times, but he got through it, and he's getting the police force in shape. He's got a lot of accreditations they picked up, and it's all because of the chief. And I want to thank you personally, Chief, for the time that I had with you guys. And I'll get the chance later on at the last meeting to say goodbye. But to everybody, it's really been an honor working here with you guys and getting stuff done. I know there's so many things that we could say have been done over the last 8 years, but I know the mayor picked up on some things. But it's, you know, what can I say? You know, you have to know when to hold them, when to fold them, and it's time to go. So thank you very much, and that's it.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank Joe on behalf of the staff. He's been incredibly supportive of everybody that works here. Kept us on our toes. But he was a good listener. He was always willing to hear what we had to say, and he brought some insights that really, I think, helped us do our jobs a lot better. I know Joe had a lot of fun doing this, I can imagine, unless I missed my guess. and we had a lot of fun working with Joe, and we're going to miss him.
Thank you, John. And it's been an honor to work with you and everybody on staff. And I didn't mean, I'd be remiss in not saying that my girlfriend Shirley and everybody on the staff has, I've learned a lot from them. So I missed saying that, but I wanted to get that in. Thank you again, John.
Well, thank you, Joe. Appreciate everything you've done for the borough. Continuing, also attached is a draft advertisement seeking applicants to fill a resulting vacancy on Borough Council for a term ending December 31st, 2025. If council wishes to authorize the advertisement, it can do so by motion, and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. I think it was Mr. Brown? Yes. Any questions or comments from any members of council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I don't think we have any executive
There
session.
is no executive session.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion, I think a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.